So, ladies and gentlemen, now we quickly move to the second panel discussion of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, to continue the theme of trends and optimism as set by the previous panel, all thanks to the wonderful stalwarts who have joined us, it's now time to talk about Buoyant commercial real estate of Gujarat. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic for the moment for this panel discussion right now is Buoyant commercial real estate of Gujarat. I'll be introducing our honorable moderator first, and then they'll be introducing all our speakers in alphabetical order. This talk will be led by Jigar Mota, Director and Head of Transactions, Cushman and Wakefield, Gujarat. Mr. Jigar has experience of more than 18 years in real estate and has been instrumental in assisting many multinational and large Indian corporate clients in setting up their offices, showrooms, industries and warehouses, and in acquiring land across the Gujarat region. He was previously associated with leading real estate consulting firms like JLL and CBI. Please give it up for Mr. Jigar, ladies and gentlemen. Huge knowledge for him as he takes his time over here to be with us. Thank you so much, sir. I request you to kindly take your seat. We have Anmol Patel, I beg your pardon, who's a third generation business leader at Ganesh Housing Corporation Limited. He's spearheading the development of Million Minds IT SEZ, New Age Tech City, 65-acre tech park in Ahmedabad. He's also the vice president of the youth wing of Credai Ahmedabad. He received his bachelor's degree in management from University of Nottingham, UK. Give it up for Mr. Anmol, please, ladies and gentlemen. Huge round of applause for him. We have Himanshu Sharma, Managing Director, Head, Leasing and Business Development, Tishmen, Speyer. Himanshu has joined Tishmen, Speyer in 2023 and is responsible for leasing and business development across the firm's India portfolio. Before 2023, he served as City Head for Hyderabad with Capital and Investment, managing REITP&L with a rapidly expanding base of businesses under various asset classes across the region. He also held key leadership positions at General Electric, Apple Computers, Google, and Dell. Please give it up for Himanshu, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Himanshu is over here in the house. I request some appreciation over there at the back, please. All our panelists have taken time to enlighten over here. Please appreciate them in the best way possible. Thank you. We have Umesh Uttamchandani, who's a co-founder and chief growth officer, DevX Accelerator Private Limited, DevX. Mr. Umesh has close to 8 years experience in the IT industry. He holds an MBA degree in strategic management from Sheffield Hallam University and specializes in sales, corporate innovation, and startup investment. He's one of the visionaries leading DevX, Gujarat's largest managed office space provider, a co-working accelerator. Give it up for Mr. Umesh as well, ladies and gentlemen, a true visionary in the house. We have Viren Mehta, who's the founder and CEO of WiseVision Realty Private Limited, with nearly 26 years of experience and has been spearheading a banker and real estate expert in India. His key experiences include formulation of business plans, entry strategy formulation, and business location advisory for some of the larger Fortune 500 companies of the world. Previously, he worked as managing director at Colliers International and JLL, and now he's leading the WiseVision Realty Private Limited, provides advisory services to developers, occupiers, and investors all across the country. Give it up for Mr. Viren as well, please, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker for this wonderful panel. We also have the pleasure of having with us Yash, who's the founder and director of The Address. He's a first and second entrepreneur. He has a forward integration to his business. He runs The Address, which is currently Gujarat's largest Tier 2 focused co-working service and managed office space provider. He's an avid angel investor as well and has 15 plus startups in his portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is once again set. The panel is ready. Please give it up for them once again as they take over from here. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, friends and fellow colleagues. First of all, I thank Realty Plus team to arrange such a wonderful event and gathered all the legends of real estate under the one roof. So please give a big hand for Realty Plus and the hardworking team. With this wonderful audience and super energy flowing in this room, I would like to take up today's session on the commercial real estate of Gujarat. Friends, commerce and Gujarat do have unmatched relationship because धंधो तो गुजरात में ज थाय. With that, commercial real estate have been always most preferred real estate investment across all the asset classes. Gujarat has been always witnessed to most sustainable real estate industry. The journey from Ashram Road to SG Highway in Ahmedabad, Race Course to Old Padra Road in Vadodara, Parley Point and Gold Road to Vesur in Surat, and Yagnik Road to Kalawad and now Ring Road in Rajkot have been always memorable, and this journey has contributed exponentially in the growth engine of Gujarat. One cannot portray the picture of commercial real estate of Gujarat without this journey. Despite of largely build-to-sell market, we have successfully brought in the Googles and the IBMs of the world to be part of this booming commercial real estate story of Gujarat. With that, I would like to throw some interesting questions related to commercial real estate to our esteemed and iconic panelists to answer them and enlighten all of us with a torch of knowledge. Let's give a very big hand to all our iconic panelists. So just to begin with, I'll ask my first question to Anmol. Anmol, as you are third generation developer carrying more than 60 years legacy in real estate development, what are the significant changes you have seen in the commercial real estate in recent times?
Hello. Hi. So, I think Ahmedabad per se is a very evolving market. So, pre-2014, we used to see buildings that were only 30 to 40 meter high with smaller offices and smaller retail shops. So, post that, we've seen a significant change, and we really saw, what shaped the modern building. We saw 70 meter tall buildings with higher amenities, which is, focused more towards the employee interaction. We saw bigger offices, we saw bigger retail shops within the office complexes. We saw higher safety standards, which really, evolved the building. We saw dedicated parking areas, which were not there before. So, back in the day when commercial buildings would have parking areas outside, that used to, the space used to get really congested. Now, buildings have norms which have dedicated parking spaces within them. So, we really saw from post 2014, we really saw some good buildings, good landmark buildings take shape. Post that, now I think Ahmedabad is, breaking barriers into, new kind of new structures and new buildings, and really taking the new policies, which are, the iconic building policies, which are going to, change the skyline of Ahmedabad completely, and the buildings are going to be as tall as 150 meters, which is again going to be take Ahmedabad at a global stage. Gujarat now not only has to cater to the Indian market but also the global market, and that is exactly why, to be on par with other cities like Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Gurgaon, we are also developing a tech park so that we can cater to the global business needs.
So that's really great. I mean, Anmol, that's really changed the landscape of the entire commercial real estate. If you really look at that journey, that really brings me to Himanshu. So Himanshu, you are coming from a REIT background. I mean, you have worked in past, you are professional in the REITs. Now you are a managing director and head of leasing for Tishmen and Speyer, which is again a global development firm. Can you brief the change of the requirements of the occupiers in commercial real estate over a period of time, at least after COVID?
So, I'll take the liberty to walk through the journey of what's really happening in India per se from our real estate perspective. And I want to draw everybody's attention how the story started. Way back in 1999, 2000, I don't know if you know when GE, General Electric, Jack Welch came and he met the DLF that time, Mr. Kedia saying, and they wanted to start something in Gurgaon. and they started a first outsourcing center. And that's I'm talking about many, many years ago. If you look at that building today, I don't think any company will even sign that building today. But that was a very beginning and starting point, and then the journey started, and the space take-up started happening. G became Genpact and expanding to Speyer. Now, in the meanwhile, what was also happening are Indian-grown IT companies such as TCS, Wipro, and Infosys started growing and started giving ITS services to all these big brands globally. So they were sourcing the work here and then started delivering. Now, when are you actually doing those services kind of thing? You're always working on a cost arbitrage model. Cost per seat there, $1,000. Cost per seat here, $200. And you kind of making money in margin, and therefore a lot of business is coming to India. Now, what has really happened in this bargain, the talent who's working in the IT space started growing and reached to a level where people from just plain services became the product companies. And Microsoft started their campus in Hyderabad. That was the first campus. Google have started their first campus in Hyderabad. In fact, I used to work for Google that time. Now, the talent availability for the prime product development started. Now, there's a marked difference the way the ITS, which is more the services company, look at the space, and a GCC, which is the captive of a product development company, look at it. For ITS, a basic plus building with some nice amenities, cost-conscious client. They're also moving up in the chain, but I'm just saying that's the requirement. For a GCC, it has to be a very, very prime campus look and feel kind of a situation. So now just summarizing this story, we have moved from a basic service provider industry to a captive, and our industry is growing not because of cost arbitrage right now, it is growing because of the talent. Now this talent is amongst the top talent worldwide. So it's got nothing to do with you're sitting in India or you're sitting in, California. You can choose any location and decide to work. That's the way talent is moving, and especially after COVID, the companies are absolutely flexible to give that option. Now, he's mentioned the REIT. The India real estate REIT started, from 4 or 5 years back, but the REIT, the capital REIT I work for is a Singapore listed REIT. I used to work for is a Singapore listed REIT, so they used to get the money from Singapore and then invest in here, and therefore it's working out. Now, the moment you say REIT, it's the public money, and the moment the public money comes, the compliance becomes extremely critical. The amount of audits and the scrutiny we used to go in Capital Land is phenomenal. Literally, we used to call one room as auditor room, and EY, KPMG, PwC literally used to sit in our office and audit our books. So the compliance is one thing which becomes very, very important. And not only the compliance from a building perspective, but compliance how you operate, book your profits, how do you report. A lot of times, companies might think that it's okay, you can operate this way. But the moment you get under the SEBI or SEC regulation, the compliance becomes a super critical thing. So when the developer is long-term thinking about the REIT portfolio, I think they should be very, very focused on the building compliance, their operating compliance, their accounting compliance, and all of that compliance which actually goes with making a good business.
No, that really gives a lot of insight on the compliance side of the story for all the upcoming projects going forward. And that actually brings me to Umesh. Umesh, you have worked as an IT professional in past. Since last decade, as the technology has grown so fast and created a lot of disruptions across the various industries. So my question to you is, A, do you agree that similarly co-working has created a disruption in the conventional office leasing market in India and especially cities like Ahmedabad? And B, do you see the conventional leasing market anytime soon coming back to where it was 10 years back?
Thank you so much for putting across that question. I think it literally fits in as to what exactly we are doing right now. First of all, thank you so much Reality Plus for hosting me here and putting me in the same panelist who has experience into real estate domain beyond a decade. Unlike them, I'm a newbie into this sector, and it's just been 7 to 8 years that we're learning and evolving as to what real estate is. Coming to the point of what co-working, will that be disrupting the traditional leasing market? I personally believe that what demonetization did to PTM, I think that's the same thing as what COVID happened for co-working industry. Essentially, pre-COVID era, I remember that when we started in 2018, we used to categorize the clients into 3 categories. Wherein the first and foremost focus area for all of us, all the operators, used to be on the clients who used to be from outside India, because they understood the nuances of adopting co-working space as a model, and traditional companies never adopted that. Post-COVID, things drastically changed. We have grown year on year at least 100%, wherein the adoption has largely been from traditional companies. One of our largest clients, Persistent Systems, they used to own internal teams which used to build assets on their own. In fact, even today, their internal team, design team, is way larger than ours. That's how focused they were when it came to real estate, because they were focusing on establishing and developing within one single micro market. While after COVID, what happened is the requirement to establish presence into multiple cities like Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Chandigarh, Indore, evolved so crazily that all the larger companies started establishing themselves into smaller cities, which led to the growth of co-working spaces. It has literally disrupted the traditional market. In terms of numbers, if I say so, in Pune, last year, traditional leasing was just 35%, while managed office space or co-working space leasing was 65%. That's how gradual shift that you've seen. Ahmedabad, if I say so, there are 2 people sitting on the panel who drive the 75% market share in the co-working segment, managing almost 1 million square feet of area. If I speak of 2050, that was the entire leasing capacity of the city. So that's how it has kind of shifted towards co-working spaces. I personally don't see kind of this shift going back. In fact, this is going to increase crazily. There are a lot of managed office space and co-working space players who are lined up to get listed next year and subsequent years. And the market is going to increase a lot and gradually shift towards traditional to managed office spaces. It has to sustain. Both the markets need to sustain together to drive. I'm not saying it will overtake the traditional leasing market, but it would definitely have a larger scale than what it is today.
Great, Umesh. A really good insight on that. That really brings me back to Anmol. Anmol, as Umesh has already briefed nicely on the sort of disruption created by co-working segment in the conventional leasing market. A, how serious it is in the build-to-sell markets like Ahmedabad, and B, what can be the best strategy of a small investor regularly investing in the small commercial offices going forward?
Thanks. So I think there is definitely an increasing demand for flexible workspaces. It definitely, it's easier for when a company is shifting from say a different city or a different state, and when they're coming to Ahmedabad, flexible spaces really help them set up their businesses faster. I do not see them as I do not see it as a competition, but I think traditional developers also really need to embrace that. So when you are developing something like a grade A building, I would say to have at least some kind of dedicated spaces for co-working spaces. So even
that's argument actually.
Exactly. So even in our new development, we are going to have co-working spaces, and hopefully we'll be able to partner with one of our friends over here. So that is how I see it growing.
Great. So obviously there are again the second question. There is still an opportunity for the smaller investors.
There is an opportunity for smaller investors as well, but I would say the investors really need to go with good developers,
right.
And also location has become very important as the Ahmedabad commercial market is ever evolving. Right from when the commercial boom happened in Ashram Road, so from Ashram Road to CG Road to Prahlad Nagar, now on SC Highway along with Gopalamli Road, Sindhu Bhavan Road, and now the future is going towards Vaishnavi Junction, which is merging both the twin cities of Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. So the smaller investors have to be really careful about where they are investing and with who they are investing. Also, there are new methods of investment like fractional investments, which they can really look into, which would help them really diversify their portfolio as well.
It's really helpful, Anmol. I mean, this fractional ownership is really a good tool for the small-time investor to stay invested into the commercial office space. Now that really leads me to Yash. Yash, you have background from both development and an established co-working player. First of all, do you also agree that co-working has created a disruption in the conventional leasing market in India? And second with that, how do you see a growth of conventional leasing market versus co-working going forward?
Thank you for having me over here. And to add on from what my colleague here just said, first of all, if anybody from my team is here, he's getting a call from CBRE Pune. Make sure that we reach out to them first. Apart from that, I think the most important part what we have to figure out is what has been the growth like. If we were to look at, I wouldn't call it pre and post COVID era, because things had already started to change before that. But talking about time before 2018, we used to be in a stage where we needed to educate people about what co-working and managed office places used to be like. Correct? So the time between 2015 to 2018-19 went into the time when a managed office concept wasn't really out there, but people used to have some kind of an idea about what co-working is like, and we educated them. I mean, we as in everybody in the country that is into this business educated them in letting them know about what this is like. Post-COVID, it became the need of the hour. And if you were to look at timelines from 2014 to 2024, 2014 was when there used to be about 50 players in India. And currently, we have about 500 plus players in India. This is 10 years. So if you were to look at it, the amount of people that have grown into this business is 10x year on year, correct? And now, going back to that, I think coming from the part where I'm a developer as well as a co-working player, just look into how many developers actually have a co-working space of their own. Of course, a lot of them are rather regional. I wouldn't say just city-based, but regional. The reason being that the scope of development for them is extremely easy and quick. If at all there is a client who is coming to them, a normal commercial leasing client is coming to them, it would rather make it easier for them to adjust their cost of real estate on bare shell, on furnished office, and rather increase it by 5 rupees by just giving them all the services under one roof, right? So a lot of developers have also started to figure out that this is the way forward, this is the way to go, and at the end of the day, end-to-end solution and end-to-end service is what is going to be the key for everybody. Of course, I'm not saying that all developers do it, but I would say that at least 20 to 25% of developers in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities have moved to this. Going back to the growth of co-working and managed office spaces, even right now, the industry is looking at a CAGR of 17%. And I mean, 17% is what is out there, but I believe that the industry will year on year till 2030 at least grow by 40%. And let's just put it in numbers for easier access and understanding for the people. 2020, which is just 4 years back from today, co-working players or managed office players used to occupy 10% of a building in Tier 1 cities only. Today, if I were to put Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities together, 28% of a building of Tier 1 and Tier 2 together, if I were to put only Tier 1, 45% of a building has co-working players or managed office players into them. If I combine Tier 1 and Tier 2, it is 28%. And going to 2030, I believe that number will be 60 to 65% for Tier 1, or rather even more, because end-to-end solutions will play a very crucial role in where we are going. And if at all, if I were to put it in hindsight, for the two of us, just as a Tier 2 plus city, there are developers or there are people who are creating buildings that come to us saying that, tell us what you want, we'll create a building like that. So that's the power that co-working and managed office spaces have really put forward to the people towards a lot of people. And of course, I mean, the developers want to fill in their space even quicker, right? And we have the access to so many of them. So yeah, that's what the foreseeable future looks like. Without second thoughts.
Fantastic, Yash. I mean, that's a real insight that yes, I mean, co-working is the flavor of the future. But yes, at least as we speak, I mean, it's growing. We still have a larger, scope as we speak for a conventional office. But yeah, going forward, the flavor of the future is the co-working. That's really great. So Viren, you have worked as a banker and then as a real estate professional. How do you see commercial real estate market shaping up in Gujarat with land getting more and more expensive?
So first of all, land basically I don't see it is an expensive. But before I get into specifically on commercial real estate, the size of overall real estate in Gujarat is 5.2 lakh crore. In terms of number of projects, if we talk about, it is around roughly 39,900 or so. Let's take it 14,000 number of projects being launched. And out of that, roughly 2,080 odd is only commercial. So that is still less than 20%, roughly around 11-12% or so. The part in Ahmedabad is that out of this 14,000 entire Gujarat number of projects being launched, we in Ahmedabad we have around 4,200 number of projects. And out of this, the commercial size of commercial projects I'm talking about, when I talk about entire 14,000, which includes the residential, commercial, mixed use, plotting, everything. In that, the size of Ahmedabad is 4,200 roughly number of projects being launched, and commercial is roughly 800. So, in compared to Gujarat, it is roughly 12%, while in Ahmedabad, number of projects being launched against that commercial is around roughly 17%. But the irony and what people are looking at centric is Ahmedabad is a business district, because if you look at 2,000 number of projects in entire Gujarat, 800 number of units only commercial is in Ahmedabad. So that is roughly 40% of the size we are category. Now, in terms of pricing, land price basically, if I look at, it is not very high. Typically, if you look at land price, then you add into a construction cost, and then the final product is coming out. Now, if you look at the rental value and capital value across all metro and top 10 cities of India, our rental is also much lesser compared to, forget about Bombay, Delhi, Mumbai also. We are still talking about Calcutta, Bangalore, Pune, or Hyderabad also. Lower as well. So our rental is still what we used to look at 20 years back. Ashram Road, CG Road was the center of the city and CBD, and now now the city has moved from east to west, and now corporates are moving towards NG Road and further west side. If you actually look at the rental has not increased much. So as with the capital also. Capital value, if you actually look at, still in NG Road, if you look at 7,500 to 8,000 rupees, you will get a good grade A of a building. So, I don't see, we have, ideally we can look at this as top 10 cities of India, and our capital value and the rental value is still not as high compared to other cities when we are talking about the larger metro or semi-metro cities. Land price, yes, will have an impact because we are expecting circle rate or a jantri rate, what we're calling here, it's going to get revised within a week or so. That probably point in time we might see change, and that will be, because there the FSI cost will increase and the cost of the finished product will increase. I think that repercussion will have an impact in the land price as well. But if I have to look at overall land price compared to all other cities, typically we cannot compare with the other smaller town. But top 10 cities, yes, our pricing are fair enough that way. So I definitely see there's no much increase in terms of pricing. But yeah, barring few pockets, we are fair enough.
Right. Okay, great. So that really brings me to Himanshu. Himanshu, tell me that land being very important raw material in any real estate development, and now the prices of land, I mean, as he also rightly mentioned, is actually increasing everywhere, right, across the country. what is your thought on change of the conventional? When I say conventional, it's more of the developed office places, office marketplaces, in terms of location. Do you see any makeshift of them in a different affordable markets going forward?
So I think both will go in parallel. As I mentioned, ITS services companies and the GCC service. I don't know if some of you must have read the article today morning. Apple signed a lease in Bangalore at 220 rupees per square foot, right? And that's a very expensive, for and a 400,000 square feet. It's not a small deal. Makeomek City in Mumbai BKC, last I heard was 700. That's going to be unaffordable for most of the expensive companies. So there is a market for that, but the size of that market is limited. So land will play a vital role for, even if it's expensive, but if the market is demanding 200, 300, 500 rupees, I think people will be willing to pay for that. So that's one part of it, and high-end banking companies, high-end Apple, Google, and high-end products. Then will come the ITS companies. Now, these companies operate on a very thin margin because IT space, the market has also become extremely competitive. Right? Google, Infosys, everybody is fighting for the orders, big orders from international companies. They will be very cost sensitive, and they will be forced to move out away from the city center and move maybe 5, 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers away from the city. So I think both markets will grow in parallel. And it's a story for every city. Bangalore, for example, Apple is signed in CBD at 220, but there is a space available at 45, 50 also, depending on what the company affordability the companies will decide. One thing which is super critical and important, and I want to highlight that. And I'm not from Ahmedabad, so I'm taking a liberty, and I'm sure everybody will pardon me and allow me to take a flight in the evening, because if I'm going to say this. Most of the time when we're looking at the competition, and I'm taking the names also. Is Gift City is my competition? Or is Million Mind is my competition? Or, his company is a competition? Guys, the competition is not here. Look at the competition where it is coming from. When the company, and I work with Apple, Google, GE, when they look at opening an office, they don't look at city. First, they will look at the country. Whether this project has to go to China, whether this project has to come to India, whether this project has to go to Philippines, or this project has to go to South Africa. So that's a one competition level. Depending on the talent and space availability, they decide, okay, India looks like good place to come. Now comes the next level. Do we have to go to Bangalore? Do we have to go to Hyderabad? Do we have to go to Chennai? Or Pune, and so on and so forth, multiple cities. And the reality of the matter is, and pardon me for saying that, unless Ahmedabad catches up with the true wave of ITS company, we are not talking about 2,000, 3,000 square feet. I'm talking about 1 million square feet, 2 million square feet space take up. How much is the space is getting absorbed in Ahmedabad every year? About 1.5 million, 2 million?
Yeah.
How much Bangalore did? 12 million, 13 million. Hyderabad, 6 and 9 million. So if you have to really compete with those cities, and that's the competition, right? People have to reset their mindset. And let me say very direct. If we think, and we are also invested along with Ganesh housing big time in Ahmedabad. So our lot for us is also stake. Ahmedabad में ऐसा ही चलता है और अहमदाबाद में ऐसा ही होता है, will not allow you to win the competition. Your competition is not among here. The competition is against Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to touch a very sensitive topic. And I'm from the developer community, so I'm taking the liberty and say that the efficiency of space in Ahmedabad is the lowest. Now you'll say, "Nahi, market aisa hai. This is the market." Sir, when TCS or Infosys is going to take a space, all they're going to do is I'm going to earn this much out of a seat. This is my rent, this is my electricity, this is my fit out cost, this is what cost for me, seat is working out of $4,000. My contract is 4,500 to 5,000. This is my margin. I will decide then that whether I open an office in Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Bangalore. That's the way the world is going to work. Now there are two options. People can say, no, we are from Ahmedabad, we are doing good, we are doing $1 million and $1 million too, we are on a good path, we are growing, and that's the story you're going to play out. Well, the choice is with the people and developers of Ahmedabad. I'm taking the liberty to quote my project, and Anmol knows about it. We are the first project which is launching the product at 75% efficiency in Ahmedabad. And a lot of people will call us crazy. Why are you doing that? And when we had discussion with Ganesh Housing Management, Anmol and Shekhar and everyone, he said, we are not making a product for Ahmedabad. We are making a product for India. And we are very proud to announce that when that project will be completed, we are not saying it's going to be best in Ahmedabad or Gujarat. We are promising it will be best in India, and it will be known as one of the best projects in India. And when the new companies come up, they will look for that project and moving forward, we will be able to demonstrate what a true ITS park should look like. So I think the point I'm going to make is we have to start thinking and move beyond what is Bangalore doing? What is Hyderabad doing? Don't follow Mumbai example. Mumbai is landlocked. Because Mumbai में land कम आता है, FSI कम आता है, इसलिए everybody is forced to work on that, right? Mumbai is behind ITs in Bangalore. The reason is the companies are so used to operate in a certain set of environment and parameters. They choose Bangalore versus the Mumbai. So I think that's the point to sum up, is that we really have to start thinking, how do I beat Bangalore? How do I beat Hyderabad? And this is the cusp moment. I started my journey in Hyderabad way back when they used to do 2-3 million. And I see exactly the same state where Ahmedabad is today. It is the Ahmedabad developers either to make it really big or just say we are okay, we'll settle down whatever works in Ahmedabad, this is what it is. So I clearly want to see 4-5 years, and he mentioned the career growth in co-working space. I think that's the real opportunity which lies. And ultimately, it's the customer. Whether they're sitting in managed office, whether they're sitting in direct lease, your true revenue will be paid out of the customer. These are just the instrumental tools for customer to decide the real estate strategy or the investment model. But the ultimate goal has to be the space which is quality space of an Indian standard, international standard, getting and allowing the companies to open office there. I think I made very candid comments. I hope I've not upset the few people here. But I think that's it. And the reason I'm saying, because I come from an India or international view of things. And if I can contribute for the growth of this, city, I will write in my, life memoir journey that I contributed to the industry, and look at where the industry is reaching. Thank you.
No, appreciate that point, and I understand, exactly where it is coming from. But yeah, every city really takes baby steps towards, becoming a great and eventually greater. So, Ahmedabad already initiated some of them, as we already discussed on the compliance and the EHS. In past, if you really look at, developers have really done a great job to creating right kind of a development which really caters to a grade A or a Fortune 500 corporates. So going forward, yes, point taken, but obviously we will try and improve more and more, going forward.
Wrong. I'm not saying, I'm not criticizing you guys have done fantastic. But what I'm saying, and I'm from an international developer, right? It used to be a time when the international product and a domestic product in the Indian market used to be a huge gap. Look at the way people have come up. I can take the names: Prestige, RMC, Salapuria Satwa, Embassy. punchy. They're really up their game. And look there where they've reached. So I think it's the competition you'll say, Matt, you would have never thought they will come up with this product so fast. And they're catching up very fast.
No, of course, I agree to that point as well. That really leads me to Umesh. As already Himanshu has briefed on a lot of things about commercial real estate pricing due to chain reaction of getting expensive land and then higher construction costs, which result into a price hike and then from the developer and then from the investor eventually at a higher pricing rentals. In this scenario, how do you see a pressure coming over cost and specifically on the offerings to the occupiers in the co-working model?
Well, honestly, from a co-working perspective, it's more of a hedging game that we kind of play. If there's a price rise, so we operate in 10, 11 different cities and 6 different states. So we understand the entire the length and breadth of the country as to what pricing we truly offer. We have multiple price points ranging from MP, which operates at 60-65% efficiency, to Ahmedabad 55% efficiency, to Hyderabad 75% efficiency. So pricing, probably it's more on the line as to what the city is offering, and then probably you match up your solutions on top of that, and then the customers adopt it. What I truly believe is that from a city perspective, we are still at a very subdued price when it comes to rentals. The primary reason why developers here offer an efficiency of 55% or 50% today, it's because of the rentals being so pressurized. The moment there's an adoption or consumption happening from the new tenants that would start moving towards the city, the time we have greater talent availability here, the greater talent pool availability here, I think there would be a scenario where enterprises would be willing to pay higher. And that is a time when we would see the gradual shift coming in from the developers as well, wherein we'll move towards 70-75% or even 80% efficiency. There's no point in kind of keeping the efficiencies lower if you're able to fetch a rental price which matches the expectation. So ultimately, it all boils down as to what is the revenue that you're generating as a developer. If you generate it at 100% efficiency or 50% efficiency, it's just making up as to what the outcome you're looking at as a developer. So I don't feel that it is kind of prices are higher. There's still room that we'll see pricing at a land stage also increasing, and even the rentals would shoot up at least by 20-25% in the next 2 to 3 years of time frame. At least by 20-25%.
That's a great insight from your end. So I mean, Ahmedabad should be ready to pay higher rentals going forward. Yes, that really comes to another question that we are seeing the city being transformed. As an office leasing requirement from Ashram Road to CG Road to Prahlad Nagar and now SG Highway. How do you see the distance from the city center or a commercial hub plays a vital role for selection from an occupier perspective within a co-working center?
So I think it is very important, but at the end of the day, what really matters is there's not just one scenario which comes into perspective as far as what area you want to go to, but there are multiple. I mean, what are the kind of benefits that Gift City is giving now? I mean, if there are people that are actually making the migration to Gift City from somewhere, there is a particular reason why they're making it. If we were to talk about Gift City, as of now, there is no public transport. Does not mean that people are not going to be moving to Gift City. One of my personal buildings and one of my largest occupying places, which takes up 3.5 lakh just in Ahmedabad, 2 buildings, are 3 kilometers away from public transport, but end up paying the highest to me. So I think there are quite a lot of different types of thought processes which people get into when they have to decide on this. But it's also about what kind of people am I trying to hire. If I'm trying to hire a lot of people that are going to be coming in from other part of the city, then Ashram Road might as well be the best part for me. If at all I want something which is going to be 50 people that are spread across the city, might as well just be Prahlad Nagar or Shyamal Crossroads, which is going to be making sure that accessibility for everyone is easy. As well as if there is going to be an international company or a national company which has which is going to be moving a lot of people from across India, is going to be looking at where do I make sure that these people get a place easier to stay, which is going to be a Shela, which is going to be a Makarba. At that point of time, they're going to be thinking about, sure, let's just go to an SG highway or let's just go to that stretch which is going to be easier for the people to stay. So there are a lot of thoughts which go into the decision-making process of people while they choose a building or while they decide on a particular location. And I think all of these significant factors come together to in making sure that this is how it really ends up. The part is how do you cover all of them? I mean, is what is going to be one of the most important things going forward, because as tier 2 city progresses towards a tier 2 plus or a tier 1, of course there's going to be infrastructure which is going to be ready for everybody. But at the same time, how do people select a rather smaller union between the whole city? Will always have, of course, the pricing element as well. I mean, in Ahmedabad, if you were to look at the pricing elements, there's only a difference of 5 rupees per square feet which comes from an Ashram Road to an SG highway. But essentially, that's also going to be changing over the course of time. CG Road, which was supposed to be a CBD of the past, does not have or has barely any commercial real estate happening and has moved entirely into retail. So yeah, I mean, I think essentially, and at the end of the day, honestly, if you were to look at individuals, they're always going to be preferring offices to what is their comfort zone. But if you were to look at companies, if you were to look at national, multinational companies, it's also going to be defined by a lot of these external factors which will always define.
So that's not just a single factor, but normally in the consulting, we call it a pin code analysis. That really plays a really good role along with the right place and the right offerings from the co-working.
I want to give a very good example of Qatar Airways, which has just made the shift in Ahmedabad, and there were two areas, buildings which were shortlisted. One was SG Highway, and again, when I say SG Highway, these guys have moved 1,200 people in Ahmedabad, of course from Ahmedabad across India, and a lot of people that have moved from Doha. They had the decision of taking up something. First of all, as Himanshu said, they had the option of expanding Qatar, expanding Doha versus coming to India. When they came to India, because of cheap labor and cheap real estate, they decided on Ahmedabad. When they came to Ahmedabad and had to pick 1 lakh square feet, it was going to Gift City or coming to SG Highway. And when we say SG Highway, that's still 3 kilometers away from your public transport. Today, they have moved 1,200 people working in each shift, and they have 3 shifts going on for 24/7. There's been no change. The only thing that they saw is that Makarba has good accommodation available for everybody. We might as well pay for the accommodation, keep them around. Good food in areas which is Prahlad Nagar. There's everything on and around, and we're good to go. So these are the types of decision-making abilities which come in from a tenant coming across from anywhere, and that's how we grow.
No, that's fantastic and very well related example, Yash. Thank you so much for that. Viren, as you know that every company, be it an Indian or a multinational, they would like to keep their real estate cost as low as possible. In that situation, where the land prices, construction cost, marketing and sales cost are really growing up very fast, which are the sort of other efficient models being used across different markets to achieve value engineering to make commercial real estate affordable? And do you see that they are very well working in Gujarat market as well?
So this is a very new subject. Typically, when you have a large number of employees and when the real estate is really very expensive, typically when we talk about the metro cities also. So I talked about during my ITC days, we had a couple of survey, and we actually have held a couple of multinational companies. Largely, typically if you look about Mumbai also, where the property cost in terms of rental also is so very expensive. We heard from Himanshu as well that a couple of places where we see the rental is more than 500 rupees per square feet. So imagine each is very critical when it comes to spending and taking a property on a lease. So what had happened is one of the multinational firm, we we approached and we asked them that, they were having a team strength of 1,000 employees plus. So we did a recce saying that in any given point in time, by and large, their average number of people actually they come and sit is not more than 650 to 700. So almost 30% of their base is always being, remain vacant. And hence, then we actually looked at income, study. We have seen that how many workstations being created, how many people are using the other utility services like common office, pantry, and also. With this, we propose that ideally, they should have a flexi workstation. Typically this is for not in Ahmedabad, because Ahmedabad we have a good amount of inventory available. Pricing is also fair enough, compared to other metro cities also. So, but in outside, yes, this is the flexi workstation. If you actually look at that, you have a team of 1,000 employees, but at any given point in time, you take a space for considering that you have a 700 employee, and then you provide a flexi basis. Even in our area, that in Mumbai also it is the same. We have 1,000 employees, but whosoever comes first, we get the space. There is no dedicated spaces given that there are few people who will have to sit and operate like audit or IT people also. For them, there is a space. However, there are people who have to meet, go out, customer service, sales, and also there is no dedicated space being allotted to them. So this is the model where you save flexi workstation, and I think similarly that model being implemented in co-working as well. So, but by and large, not in Ahmedabad, but outside cities, yes, this model is being largely adopted.
Okay, thanks, Viren. That really brings us to the end of the session. If somebody would like to ask any questions, please feel free.
We have questions, so I request people to kindly raise their hands. If anybody has any question over here, trust me, they will be enlightening all of us in the best way possible. So, anybody has any question over here, may raise your hand. I don't see any hands being raised over here. Oh, sir. Yeah. We love your proactiveness.
My name is Jawad Adani, born and raised in Ahmedabad for the last 40 years in US. I had the same question I had for the previous channel. NRIs. Hello. Okay. My name is Jawad Adani and born and raised in Ahmedabad. And for the last 40 years in US. My question is the same question I had for earlier panel. NRI business. How it is and what are we doing to expand that?
I'll help you out with that. I'm not going to be just talking about NRI business, but I want to tell you that last year India's FDI was the highest compared to ever till it's ever been. We talk about where India is headed. If we want to beat Germany and want to be the third biggest economy in the world, I think the kind of business that we're doing, it's not too far. The dream of our Prime Minister, 5 trillion economy, whatever we speak about, is currently spearheaded on the growth where everything that has been happening in the country is self-sufficient to do so. So I think one of the questions which I want to put out to you is, you should ask actually yourself about why do you want to invest in India, and the reason behind that is it has opened its arms and given returns like no other country has. If you were to look at a developed country, we foresee our country to be developed by 2047. But if you look at any developed country, their returns are in a scale of 1 to 4%. And the 4% are their retails, and the 1% is traditionally on your commercial and housing sector. If you were to look at US as a whole, or England is a dying economy, but I don't want to get into that. So India giving the bare minimum, the tier 1 giving a bare minimum income rental of 10 to 12% makes me ask anybody who's investing over here as to why would you invest in the US and not invest over here. So the question is actually to the same investor saying that why are you still investing there and not investing here? So India is really open for investments like it never has been. And I mean, if anybody is investing in a developed country, over here, what you can achieve with the dollar rate being at an all-time high is far more significant than what you'll be able to achieve anywhere else. So I think it's easier said than done.
Yeah, just to add to that, so we've seen tech companies like Google, Microsoft come to India, but now we're also seeing companies like Tishmen, Speyer, coming all the way from New York, and as a real estate developer investing in India, they have like portfolios of buildings like Rockefeller Center and the Spiral in New York, and now they are wanting to invest in India. So that really says something about the Indian market.
Agree. So just to add here, what Yash mentioned, investing in real estate is like typically the way we are investing in the stock market also. Which stock you are picking up is more important. And given real example, the people, gift is being known to everybody, not only in Ahmedabad but across the globe. People who have invested just 2 years back, I can give an example of who have entered with 5,000 rupees. Their appreciation has gone to 12,000 rupees today. So this is the size of appreciation we are seeing it, and the growth what we are looking at here in Ahmedabad. So you need to look at before investing which segment, which location, size, and all those things where the market is going. I think your provide is consultant can probably advise you. But yes, there is a huge growth. What just mentioned about is that the country itself is growing. So this is the clear, almost 3 times of the money people have made.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for this wonderful, wonderful panel. Thank you so much for taking the questions. Unfortunately, we have limited time. Any more questions, you can please connect offline. I request you all to kindly come forward and pose for a special group photo over here. Give it up for this wonderful panel, ladies and gentlemen. Truly, truly enlightening the true sense of the term.